sehe ich das absolut nicht als gescheitert an.
Die Kunst schafft es nicht, so einen riesen Teil von A nach B zu transportieren, aber als Arinoa-Idee und als Ideenträger war es wunderbar. Da ging es gar nicht so sehr um die Erfolgsmeldung, als um die Idee.
The human species lacks a passion to protect the planet. It's an abstraction for the most part. They're more involved with trivialities than they are with the reality of our relationship with the planet Earth. I guess the best way to explain that is to look at what we do view as sacred. If you were to walk into the city of Mecca and spit on the black stone, people would rip you to pieces, and everybody will say that you deserved it. You committed an act of blasphemy. You insulted that which is sacred to Islam. Or go into Jerusalem and attack the Wailing Wall with a pickaxe, and if you do that, an Israeli soldier will shoot you in the back, and everybody will say you deserved it because, again, you insulted that which is sacred. Or go into Rome and attack a statue in the Vatican. Again, you will be condemned. But each and every day, humans go into the most beautiful, the most wonderful, the most sacred cathedrals of the world, the rainforests of Amazonia or the redwood forests of California, and totally desecrate and destroy these cathedrals with bulldozers and chainsaws. And how do we respond to that? With petitions, or we hang banners. Well, this isn't an occupation because all this work is volunteer, and I teach a college in Los Angeles, which is what I do for a job, and lecture at universities across the country. So I've been doing this kind of work as a volunteer now for 25 years. I was with Greenpeace for 7 years as a volunteer and with Sea Shepherd since 1977. I'm criticized in the United States because they say, oh, well, Paul Watson thinks that germs are more important than people, and he would rather save germs than people, which is ridiculous. What I'm saying is that if given the choice, and here you had the life of a baby human being in one hand, your decision, and over here a species of bacteria, and you had to make the decision, what lives, what dies? Does the bacteria go extinct as a species, or does the baby live? Now, most people in an anthropocentric society would say without hesitation the life of a baby child is more important than a germ, a species. Having made that decision, if we now find that the germ is the microflora that lives in the human intestine, our decision has now exterminated the human species because we cannot live without that species, thereby illustrating the law of interdependency. And because of this, it's that kind of ignorance which is causing all of the problems. The fact is that each and every one of us is responsible. It's the collective actions of each and every one of us. Nobody is innocent here. There are 35 million citizen species on this planet with us, and we parade around like we're the only species that matters. Greenpeace hates us with a passion because of that, because we manipulate them and guide them in places they don't really want to go. For instance, we were the first organization to take a ship into the seal hunt to protect seals. Greenpeace did it 2 years later because we got so much publicity on it. We were the first organization to go to Siberia to get evidence on illegal whaling activities in '81. Greenpeace did it in '83 because we got all that. So we sort of like test the waters to see if they're going to get it. And because they have the big media public relations machine, they can get the PR, and that's fine, but the issue gets addressed. But we actually have been able to force them into these issues. Most of the people in Sea Shepherd are Greenpeace. The people who are in Greenpeace today were not there then. We still have the same vision that we did 25 years ago. And so people today who are in Greenpeace have no idea the history of their own organization. They were not there. It's all been revised and changed through the years. And we were a very aggressive organization in the beginning, and I have not changed one bit. Sometimes when people can't see the light, you scare the hell out of them until they do. And so this is the approach that we take. I'm probably the world's most experienced rammer of ships. I think I've rammed more ships than anybody else alive. And you know, we're always governments attack us for being amateurs, but the fact is that the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society has sunk more tonnage, boarded more vessels, rammed more vessels, and have had more incidents at sea than the Canadian Navy has. We look at individual situations and how we can come up with a strategy and tactics to actually make a difference. And if we find that there's something that we can do and we can ensure that we can do it without killing anybody or injuring anybody, then we go ahead with the campaign.
I'm ready to die for it. It's just, I believe something, you only live once and you should do what you believe is right.
It is much more noble to risk your life to protect a creature that has taken 100 million years to evolve. And you're doing it for future generations, not just of humanity, but of all species. That's much more noble than protecting some sheik's oil well in Kuwait. Personally, I feel that people should seek to simplify their living and to bring their standard of living down instead of bringing the rest of the world or the third world standard of living up to the developed world. The developed world should be going down to a lower level of income. Everybody on the crew is a volunteer, and we operate under what we call the Tom Sawyer approach to crewing. You know, when Tom Sawyer got all his friends to paint the fence by paying him to paint the fence, and so our crew members pay their own way to take the risks and work hard, and there's not much rest on this vessel. So not only are they volunteers, but they have to pay for their own airfare to join the ship, to leave the ship, and they have to contribute towards money for their own food and board. And so in that way we have a very, very dedicated crew.
It's very hard to get people that you can depend on for a long period of time. And that's the main problem with having a volunteer organization. You know, people can't afford to stay for long periods of time. So by the time you get someone trained and you get the confidence on that person to do the things that you need them to do, they're gone. So that's one thing that Sea Shepherd looks for, people's dedication and consistency to stay and stick to it.
I'd rather stay poor, small, and effective than become top-heavy with administration and highly paid people who are not really contributing much. We tend to be what people want to call us. So if people want to call us pirates, well, that's fine. We'll look the part, we'll dress the part, we'll pretend to be pirates. After all, it's not a bad thing. Throughout history, good pirates have always been against bad pirates. It wasn't the Royal Navy that stopped piracy in the Caribbean. It was Henry Morgan, a pirate, that shut down piracy. It was Robin Hood, an outlaw, that opposed corruption. So there has been a history of good pirates, and I think that we follow in the footsteps of those good pirates. And we're going up against pirate operations, pirate whalers, pirate drift netters, and in this case, as is always, it takes a pirate to stop a pirate. You don't have to look very far to find things to do. Unfortunately, there's literally tens of thousands of ships that are engaged in the business of destroying the ocean, and only a small handful of ships that are engaged in the business of protecting the ocean. So there's a lot to do and very little resources to do it with.
working on organizing HIP since November last year, full-time. And in the last months we have a core of about 30 people working more than 40 hours a week to do this. HIP is a place where we want people to come together from all over the world to network themselves, but not only in a technical sense but also in a social sense. And we want to show them that the technical and the political thing are the two sides of the same coin.
My name is Barry and my handle is The Key. 2 years ago I was arrested by a special task force from the police called the IRT, and they're very into high organized crime, and they made really a big case of my arrest. When I came into prison, because I spent 30 days in prison in Maastricht, everybody treated me like the biggest whiz kid ever around. And the funny thing is that I know very little of computers. I only have a little bit of knowledge on DOS and on Windows. And I am not a computer freak. I know nothing about that kind of stuff. Well, something more about hacking. This is my keyring, and I admit that there's a lot of keys. But I tell you, I use all of these keys. For example, this key I used to extra lock my car. When I saw this PTT thing here with all the phones on it, and I saw the lock they used, it's only this little lock. I was like, this lock is too simple, this is asking for it. And I thought, well, maybe if I put this key in, and this is how easy it opens. So what we did from the organization, we put an extra padlock on here to protect the property